So it is 12:30. We're going to give it a minute or two here. There's quite a few people that haven't shown up yet. So we'll give it a minute and then we'll get started. There's a few more showing up right now. Well, I don't want to wait too much longer, so we'll go ahead and start. And if I have to stop and check somebody in, I will. Okay, so what we're going to do today is get the face frame for this cabinet assembled and hopefully mounted. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the plans because everything's based on plans in here. We can't do anything in here without plans. So I'm going to share the screen for a second. And make that a little smaller. Okay, so we're on Tuesday. There's a copy of the plans right here. I already have a copy open. So where we are right now in this, we've done this right here. Hold on, I've got people trying to get in late. Gail's already got in. Okay, so we've done parts 5, 6, and 7. That's the 2 side rails, the 2 mid rails, and the single bottom rail. And the bottom rail is what we put the CNC work on yesterday. Okay, now the next step in here, another person. The next step on this, normally what you'd do, according to the plans, is you'd cut out a design on part number 7 by using the template handout or creating your own that's approved by the instructor. So what that is we have a couple different shape templates for the bottom rail on the nightstand. Remember, the bottom rail is the one we put the wording on. Okay, normally what we do, if a student wasn't doing that, is there's several different shape templates. We just take one of these templates, trace it out on the bottom piece, and then go to the bandsaw, cut it out, and then go to the spindle sander and clean it up. Okay, but we're not doing that on this one. We're doing just what we have here. We did some CNC work on it already instead. So one of the first things we need to do, according to the plans, and I'm reading right from the plans, is we have to create 2 pocket slots at both ends of parts 6 and 7. These 2 guys, the 2 mid rails that will go up here and right here are part 6. This guy is part 7. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some pocket holes at each end of these guys. All right, so this is our pocket hole jig. You guys have seen this work already. You've seen it work when we did the cabinet sides. Okay. Now there's 3 different holes here. There's 2 that are spaced closer together, and then this guy's down out here by himself. Doesn't matter which ones you use. Just pick 2, and we'll go with that. So we'll put them on the back side. All I have to do is get this set up so that it works. All we have to do once we get it clamped in there, take our drill with our pocket hole bit in it, right? It's got a stop already set. Take it. So there's, hopefully you can see it, there's 2 pocket holes at that end. You just flip it in for end. Get 2 pocket holes at this end. We'll do the same thing with these other 2 pieces. Clean off the little fence, get it in there, get it clamped. Go over there, flip it in for end. We got 1 more piece, so there's our 2 pocket holes at each end of that one. 1 more piece. Flip it in for end. Our last 2 pocket holes. All right, so that's all of our pocket holes that we need to do. We've got 2 at each end of all 3 of the horizontal face frame pieces. Okay, so that is, oh, we got some people waiting to get in. Give me a second here. All right, so we keep going. So the next step is assembling this face frame. Okay, now, but before we can do that, we need to figure out where exactly along these edges. Let me get this back over here. Where exactly along these edges we want to place these other pieces. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to set these up here just as we want them, and we take the time to flip them, turn them over, see what surface we want to see. This is the top of our nightstand over here. This is the bottom of the nightstand. Okay, so we want to mark these, the top left and the top right. Then what we're going to do is everything's registered off the top of this nightstand. We need a nice flat surface here for the top to mount to. So we made sure the back was flush at the corners, and we're going to make sure the space frame is flush at the top. So I'm going to hold it perfectly snug at the top where I want it. And I'm going to make a little mark right here where the top of each shelf meets the face frame. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Make a little mark where the top of the shelf meets the face frame or the vertical stiles. They can take these 2 guys, take a square, and just mark these lines. Same thing as the other one. Just a nice, clean line that we can refer to. And that's going to tell us, I don't know if you guys can see the lines, but that's going to tell us where to place our pieces. Okay? So we've got these guys ready to go. So we're going to set this out of the way for now. Bring in a little jig that we have for assembling the face frame. And that's this little guy right here. Okay? So this is our top right here. This is our top left here. So this is normally how it would sit. Okay, just like this. The problem is that we have to be able to get to those pocket holes on the back side of these pieces. So what we need to do, got our top left sitting here, our top right sitting here. We're just going to take it, flip it over. Now we can set our pieces where we want. Set it right on the line. Set this bottom piece right on the line. Make sure there's no stuff sticking out there. And place this here. So we've got it about where we want it. Take a couple clamps. And one of the things about clamping these is we want these clamps parallel to these parts. If I put this clamp at an angle like this, it's going to pull this in a certain way. So I want them as straight as I can get them. I just messed everything up. Okay. I want them as straight as I can get them. And I'm just using the edge of this board as kind of a reference. You don't have to tighten down on it too crazy. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. Get a clamp down here. And this should hold this whole assembly square. We also have a mallet and a piece of scrap wood in case some of these need convincing. So it's really almost impossible to get these right on the lines here. So sometimes we have to take a piece of scrap wood. Never bang with a mallet directly on your material. You're going to dent it. Use a piece of scrap wood. We can tap these pieces in place. We can tap them down tight so they're flush at the front. So we have some convincing to do here. Good. All right. So it's all ready to go. Everything's square, everything's snug, the way it should be. So we've got some screws here. So if I try and drive a screw this way, it's just going to push this whole thing away from me. If I stand over here, try to drive a screw this way, it's going to slide it off the table. So what I like to do is just put my leg up against it right there. And not too fast. Drive a screw in. If you just floor this drill, it's a variable speed drill, so you can go slow or you can go fast. If you just punch it right off the bat, it's going to drive this screw right through this soft pine. So you want to kind of take it easy. You'll feel it when the screw bottoms out. And that's what you want. You don't want to split this right here where the pocket hole is. The bottom. I'm going to tap that up just a little bit. There we go. That's better. Just gonna leg up against it and turn around. Same thing over here. one thing about drills, I don't know if you guys know this, and it's easier to show you on a different drill, but it's one of the things I teach when you guys are here, because I find a lot of students using a drill incorrectly. And that sounds kind of lame, but it happens all the time. Okay, so I'm going to show you that real quick. All right. So on a lot of drills, you want to see it on this one. Okay. You'll notice drills that are made these days are a little different than they used to be. Okay. But you see this big rubber black grip on the back of it, this shaped part here, and this rubber here. Okay. When you're using a drill, what you don't do is just put one hand here and go. All right. There's a reason this rubber's here, and there's a reason it's shaped the way it is. It's supposed to fit your hand just like this. It's ergonomic is the word they use. Okay. So the bottom line here is all the pressure that you put on a drill to get that bit to bite into whatever you're drilling into, to get it to create the hole, should be directly in line with the bit. Okay. If you're pushing here and not here, you tend to tail down the drill. Okay. But if you've got one hand here directly in line with the bit, all the way in line with it, and that's where all your pressure is, that's how you use these drills. If you just take one and just hold it casually like this and try and drill holes, okay, you're going to force the drill nose down or nose up. There should always be a hand back here. If you notice when I was drilling, right, I didn't just do this. Okay, I had one hand back here at the back, and then I did my work. Okay, so that's your lesson for the day on drilling. So we've got this screwed together. We can take it apart. Get it out of the clamp. And there we go. We have a face frame. Okay, so here's our face frame. All right. Can I get that on there right? Yep, it's not upside down. All we have to do now is mount it to the cabinet. Okay. So we've got our cabinet back here. And that's what these pocket holes that we did in the very beginning, this little guy here, this little guy here. Same thing on the other side. These three, here it is, 3 pocket holes here. These are to mount the face frame. Okay, so we're going to take it, so the top is facing us. The top of the face frame here, I'm going to use my thumbs to make sure it's flush at the top. I'm going to use my other fingers to make sure it's flush left and right this way on the inside. Okay, I'm going to get it just where I want it. Take a clamp and carefully, so I don't move it. Get one here. And get one here. Anytime we're driving a screw in these things, we have to have whatever we're mounting to it clamp down, or the screw will just push the board away from where we want it to go. All right. So in order to do this, we've got a little different animal here. This is an angle drill. This is the only thing that's going to fit getting inside these cabinets to drive the screws. Okay. So pretty straightforward. We take a screw, we take our angle drill, get it in here, find the hole, and plug it in, which would really be helpful. Wouldn't that help? Got it? We got it. All right. Same thing. Pressure on the head of the drill. Go slow. This is really a problem. If you go too fast with this, you're going to punch that screw right through the particle board, and the tiplet's going to stick out the front of the face frame. So you got to be kind of careful. They're not intended to go super tight. So we got the top two on. We're going to take it a second, spin it around. Now, oftentimes, especially if you're using pine, stuff tends to warp a little bit, and it may be shifted to one side or the other. This is when you can have somebody give you a hand so that when you put your first clamp on, we can shift this over so it's even. Come on, go where I want. It helps if there's two people. Got it? So we'll do the bottom two screws. Okay. Screws. Here. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do this with a regular drill. These angle drills are the only way to do it. In fact, with pine, I would strongly recommend just doing it with a screwdriver instead of a power drill, so you know you're not going to poke through the front of the face frame with the tip of a screw. Get it lined up. Okay, there's those two. Take one of these off. Take the other one. We're going to set it sideways. We're going to put a clamp right over this screw, or this pocket hole where the screw is going to go. Then we can get in here, get it lined up, and there it is. Same thing the other side. Last screw. And we are about ready to go. All right. So there it is. There's the construction of the face and the mounting of it. Okay. So that's where we sit right now. We've just finished, looks like we've just finished number 18 on the instructions. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do on this nightstand, either tomorrow or Wednesday, or Thursday, I mean tomorrow is Wednesday, is we're going to start to talk about laminating. Laminating is one of those processes that everybody has to learn how to do in here because it's really important. And all laminating is, let me give an example here, if I can. Example. So laminating is the process of joining two or more boards together to create a thicker board or wider board. We don't glue boards together end to end here to make a longer board, so that's not part of our process. We don't have the bits and machine available to do that, and we really had to do it anyway. So laminating is the process of taking two or more boards, gluing together either edge to edge to make a wider board, or gluing together face to face to make a thicker board. Okay. Oftentimes, the reason we glue the boards together face to face to make a thicker board is for table legs, things like that. The reasons we'd make a wider board by edge laminating are, for example, this nightstand top, tabletops, coffee tabletops, dining room tabletops, things like that. Okay. Now, the goal here is not just to get a wider board. The goal here is also to do everything in your power to make that joint, that glue line where those two come together, as invisible as possible. We don't want to see it. Okay. We want everybody to think it's this nice wide board. So it does take some time laying out two boards to see what they look like, right? To try and get the best looking orientation of grain and color that we can. Okay, flip them over, you find, okay, so we're getting a little better. Okay, we want to try and find the best looking joint we can, okay? So that's kind of the purpose of laminating, is to create a larger board from 2 or more smaller boards. One of the things we always do in here, and I know we've seen on some of the videos, I know I showed the intermediate classes a couple videos where the folks that did this got their boards down to pretty much final thickness before they laminated. In here, we try to keep our boards as thick as possible when we laminate them. So if I'm going to put 2 boards together like this, I want to keep as much thickness on these boards as I can, because there's no way, the way you guys laminate boards, that you're going to be able to do it perfectly. There's always going to be a little bit of a ledge. It's going to stick up a little bit, or it's going to go down like this a little bit, or it'll sit like this a little bit. So we need to be able to clean those up. We've got a nice planer, we've got a nice drum sander, that once a board is laminated, in other words, you take a couple boards that are 1 inch thick, you glue them up edge to edge. 9 times out of 10, what we're looking for is something that's 3/4 of an inch thick or thinner when we're done. So we have room to get these cleaned up and get these joints cleaned up and get them flat if we start with thicker boards. We also leave our boards a little longer than we need for the final result, and a little wider than we need for the final result. So we have room to trim the ends down, because you're gonna have a hard time getting them exactly together end to end like this, okay? So we wanna leave a little extra room to be able to trim the ends, all right? And the same thing goes for width. We need a little bit of extra width so we can still go back and joint one edge and rip it to final width on the table saw. So that's some of our lamination stuff, and we'll talk about that, and we'll laminate the top for this nightstand this week, and we'll keep going. So there's one more thing we need to do today, and I will show you. I think I will anyway. All right, so there is a quiz today, all right? And if you look at Tuesday right here, there's a copy of the nightstand plans, okay, what we're just doing. The quiz is based on these nightstand plans. All you gotta do is click on it, open them up, okay? It's a straightforward, simple 5-question quiz, okay? So there's that. And then when you get to the quiz itself, right here, there's also a set of plans available there. So you'll reference these plans to answer the questions, all right? Once you're done with the quiz, make sure you put your name in the chat, and you're welcome to take off and get ready for your next class. I will stay here and answer any questions that you guys might have in regards to the quiz or the nightstand or anything like that. I will stay here till the end of class. So go ahead and take the quiz. Once you've taken the quiz, you can put your name in the chat and take off. But like I said, you're welcome to ask questions if you have questions, okay? So you guys take care of yourselves. I'm glad you were here today. Tomorrow is hump day, which means we're halfway through the week. Thanks for being here. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, okay? All right.
Mr. Brandon, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a trip to Florida for Halloween, and was wondering if I could get the schoolwork that I'm doing for that week.
You know, that's kind of odd, because I generally am setting it up like a day or 2 before, but
Okay.
I will tell you this. Anything that you're going to need, like a quiz or something like that, it stays posted. There's no cutoff date to take a quiz, right? So you can take it when you come back. Any information that you need to be able to take a quiz and pass it is going to be right there on that same day's information, like today's is. Like when you look at this, if you miss a quiz, which I usually have 1 or 2 a week, right? That's kind of the pattern that's been set. So when you look at this, if let's say you take off, I don't know what the calendar is, Halloween's on a Saturday for the first time in forever. So that means, what are you taking off, like Tuesday, Thursday, Friday or something?
So it's Tuesday because it's like the cheapest flight day, and then I'm coming back the next Tuesday.
Okay, so you'll miss basically a full week. All you got to do is find that week. Heck, that'll be week 7, I think, something like that. Yeah. Just find that week, and okay, here's Tuesday. Oh, we had a quiz. Okay, and then Thursday we had a quiz, and all the information you need to pass that quiz will be right there with it. Okay. So yeah, I don't have everything set up way in advance, but I will tell you this: if you got any problems or anything like that, dude, all you got to do is get a hold of me. email me or something like that, and we can get together and we'll make sure you get through your stuff. And make sure you put in the leave request with the attendance office so that they'll mark you excused absence, so that doesn't go against you for any attendance grades or anything like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah,
None of
make
my
sure and do that. That way you're an excused absence, and we all know you're gone, and we'll still we won't mark you down for not being here for attendance or anything.
Okay.
All
And I
right?
also have a question.
Yeah.
Can you email my mom and tell her that I had this conversation with you? She won't let me go if I don't.
Call her and tell her.
No, just like send her an email saying that we had this conversation.
Let me see. What?
You can,
Who am I talking to? I can't tell who I'm talking to here.
Kale, oh, I'm sorry, Kale Gane.
Okay. Let me write that down. All right. I will try to get that done this afternoon, Kale.
Okay.
All right. Far out. Daniel Peterson.